Welcome back to another episode of Over the Glass. I am your host, Jay.
I am other host Nessa. This week we are doing sort of Jay is catching Nessa up on the news around the world because I've had to unplug a lot recently. I've been struggling with my mental health. Look, I wanted to show you. So I have a lot of anxiety issues lately. I bought myself a fidget toy.
Wow, that is like if those simple fidgets is example of like baseline, like yours is like a choose your own adventure fidget anxiety toy.
It's cute colors, right? And I'm only pointing this out because I'm feeling a bit anxious right now. And so if you start hearing some clickety clacks in the background, that's what it is.
I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of fun editing your audio later.
I'm so sorry.
This week and the episodes coming up for the remainder of June, we kind of wanted to flip the pod on its head and talk more about Pride, because if you haven't seen already, June is Pride Month, and we are our queer-run podcast that talks hockey, but now we're going to talk a little bit more queer stuff.
Yes.
But before we do that, we have a couple of hockey things that we wanted to bring to the table. So, Nessa, if you could start out with
my one thing I bring to the table today. Okay. So I saw an article Shane put out a couple days ago about Michkov. I don't know about you, how you feel about the upcoming draft, but I think I really want the Sharks to draft this kid. Out of all the names, I don't know why his name sticks out the most to me, like things I've been hearing about him. I don't know if you've seen what the team he currently plays for in Russia. He's already wearing teal, and I think he wears it well, so why not just bring him over to the other team that wears teal? But, so the headline says, are there character concerns for Matvey, I don't know how to say his name, Matvey Michkov? And it's just Shane going around asking a bunch of scouts, about the quote-unquote character concerns that GMs might have about this kid because of things they've been hearing him playing over in the KHL. And it seems like a lot of these scouts don't really have too much, evidence to like back this up. It's just things that they're hearing. Some scouts think that it might just be something people are saying to kind of have him drop further into the draft. You know how people like to influence others, like, hey, you should take this person instead so they can keep whatever prospect they want to draft. But a lot of the ways that they're describing him is like cocky, or he's not the nicest person, or entitled and stuff like that. Again, they don't really have any evidence to back it up other than him saying, or them hearing, that he will get angry with the older dudes on the team if they don't pass him the puck, and he's vocal about it. And so the reason I saw this is because Aiden Cleary retweeted it and put out this whole thread describing, just the different ways that North American scouts kind of see European players, I guess. Because again, back in the article, they're comparing Michkov and his personality issues to a bunch of NHLers that are succeeding in the NHL that came over from Europe. One of the main ones they compare him to is Erik Karlsson. How sometimes he wasn't really the nicest person or whatever when he was being scouted or when he was drafted, but look at him now, he's thriving, right? And so Aiden goes in and starts talking about the different cultural differences between North American players and European players, and like the same reason North Americans find Europeans rude because many Euro cultures favor bluntness, where in North America are often taught to tell people what they want to hear. Many Euros are taught to be genuine and tell the truth, even when it's difficult, which is a sign of maturity. And so I can see that it's put, like, for us over here where we're taught, like, oh, you don't want to be too blunt or tell too much of the truth to someone because you don't want to hurt their feelings type thing, depending where you're from. I know over in the East Coast, New Yorkers, they don't care. But over here, you know, kind of, at least the way I was taught, is like, oh, you don't want to be rude. You can't say that. Right? In Europe, it's different. Like, they're honest, more honest with each other, and we might think it's rude, but it's like, whatever, that's how they're brought up. So all that to say, I think I still want the Sharks to draft this kid.
That seems to be the consensus. Just from like the clips that I've been seeing in passing, he looks pretty amazing, but I also haven't really been following the other ones very closely. I will say that he's apparently, he will be at the draft in person. What was it, this past weekend? Game 3 or 4, they had like the top 5 other prospects at watching the Stanley Cup games, and I guess they're starting their meet and greets where it just feels like it's like a wine and dine. Like, these teams are trying to, like, their own version of like The Bachelor. Just reading these tweets of like, this player went to have dinner with like the, you know, like the Sharks, for example, and this is like what they thought and whatever. It just feels like, can you imagine being 16, 17 and like meeting with these like $1 million like hockey organizations, and they're pretty much trying to decide whether they want to go steady with you or something? Like, it just, I don't know, it just, that's what I thought when I read those. But I feel like I mean, obviously they're gonna meet with him as well, but I just feel like there's more time available for these other prospects. And if it's true what, you know, his level of talent, and if, you know, if Russia wasn't being right now, and if, you know, Connor Bedard wasn't just this insanity on ice, like the people saying that he would go first overall in any other draft, like, talk like that makes me annoyed that they don't have more time with him. Like,
Yeah.
the draft day alone, like, I feel like it's like speed dating, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see. And I think they're all really talented, but yeah, it does make me question if this is going to get past a lot of teams because they don't have the access to him as if they would in another draft year.
Yeah, I guess that's another reason, is because of everything going on with Russia and the war with Ukraine. And you know what happened with the Flyers goalie last off season, where, you know, he signed a year with the Flyers, and then something happened with the Russian government, I think, where they ended up like keeping him in Russia because supposedly he didn't fulfill all of his military service or something. I don't know, which is scary. But you know, if there's a way to like make sure everything goes as smoothly as possible, the Sharks aren't going to be good for another couple of years anyway, and they can wait out like his KHL contract. I don't see a problem with that.
Depending on who they choose, maybe that is not how they see things, whether it's realistic or not. I think this draft is going to show us like the timeline that the organization feels like they need to be on.
Yeah, but like, come on.
I know. But you know,
okay,
but
I'm
the
gonna
other
be
side of
upset.
the other side of that coin is, I don't want that stress of like putting together an entire team. So, but moving on, in Boston, their Pride events recently, and Charlie McAvoy was seen with his fiancee Kylie and their pup Otto, and they were joining some of the Boston Bruins members of that organization to celebrate Pride. So kudos to you, Charlie McAvoy, for going the extra step and going
Another
out there.
ally.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to create a list of all the allies.
And then in some other hockey news, there is a not so new hockey manga, but will be rebooted, and it's called Supina Morada. 15-year-old figure skater Shirakawa Ro's mother dies in a car accident the day before his qualifying performance for the Olympic Games, rendering him grief-stricken and unable to compete. Now orphaned, Shirakawa and his twin sister Haruna are forced to relocate to Tokyo to the home of their maternal grandfather. And so, after an encounter with hockey-loving Genma brothers, Shirakawa decides to join the school's ice hockey team. So, the series
It's very
follows.
dramatic.
It has to be. It's a sports manga. The series follows Shirakawa as he learns to play the sport and competes against the hockey teams of rival schools. Okay. I'm just going to say, so I know there's some listeners out there, and for me as well, I was in love with Check Please, the webcomic that the lead is a queer person, and he had a background in figure skating, and then he went to college and started playing hockey. Like, I can't say I know what it's like to be a figure skater and then find yourself playing hockey. I know figure skaters are really talented skating wise. They know their edges like really well. And then I'm also not someone who like played at a collegiate level. So I don't know. This feels like this figure skater to hockey like person is such a interesting like storyline. But I'm excited to read it. So I just wanted to put that out there for folks who are into fiction comics and all that good stuff. But the synopsis doesn't say a whole lot. He's just like, okay, a passing of their parent. He was like Olympic bound, and now because he like encountered these hockey guys, he's like, I'm gonna play hockey now, and like, like okay, sure. But it sounds fun, and I'm interested to read it. So
I feel like the figure skater to hockey thing storyline has been done multiple times, and but I don't read manga or anything like that. But there was a Disney Channel movie that used that. I forgot what it's called, but it's gonna bug me. I don't know. It's silly. Anyways.
okay. We're just gonna talk very briefly about the Blue Jays and and Anthony Bass. So apparently, and I'm reading this off of someone on Twitter. Name is Bruce Arthur. Pretty much summarizing in a way that I thought was really funny. So the Jays hid Bass from the press, arranged safe two-reporter interview Wednesday, and made him available Thursday, where he said the video that called LGBTQ people demonic wasn't hateful, then announced he would be involved in the Pride weekend, and then DFA'd him tour de force. So pretty much, if you don't know, he shared on Instagram a video, and he said that the video itself, he took it down. He felt that it was too much of a distraction. I stand by my personal beliefs, and everyone is entitled to their beliefs, right? But also mean no harm to any groups of people. Pretty much the video referred to Target and Bud Light's support of the 2S LGBTQ plus community as demonic and evil. But he's saying that like Oh,
That's not hateful.
posting that is not hateful, and so pretty much, he gave his apology, but pretty much his apology wasn't an apology. He pretty much said like, "Oh well,
I'm sticking to my
like,
guns.
I'll just won't post like my thoughts on socials." So it's kind of like, so you will just not share them because you know that you're gonna get backlash and you don't realize why you're getting it. So in this whole time frame, that's all you've learned from that. So you're pretty much still hateful. And then apparently the Blue Jays, for whatever reason, were like, yeah, so he's gonna, participate in the Pride weekend. Like, why would you have him do that? And then the next day, they designate him for assignment. So then he wasn't at the Pride event.
I mean, good that he wasn't. I think it's dumb that they were trying to have him in there. Like, I don't know what sort of publicity stunt they were trying to go for. Like, oh, he's gonna participate because he's learned from his mistakes, or he will learn from his mistakes.
He doesn't need to be featured. Having him actually part of the what's actually going to be happening that day specifically, like, no one asked for that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, Pride is supposed to be about celebrating. I mean, it's always said Pride is always a protest because that's how it started, right? Nowadays, it's kind of evolved into like a celebration more than anything, or we're trying to do that, but I wish it would just stay a celebration and we didn't have to use these moments where we're trying to like feel comfortable in this space to educate others and try to be like include their hate into our space. Like, I don't need that. Like, we deal with that with the rest of the year. Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but the Giants had their Pride night or Pride event yesterday. I really wanted to go, and I thought it was going to be next weekend, but I missed out. They gave out some cool Pride jerseys, I guess, because it's the little flimsy ones that they gave out to the fans. And then I didn't really keep up too much with it, but I saw that they wore the LGBTQ, like the colors, the rainbow colors, the SF patch. And then I saw they had a drag queen have throw out the first pitch.
Nice.
So, yeah. So it sucks that I missed out, but it seems cool. I don't know what else they did. I'm sure they did some cool stuff because San Francisco's pretty good about it.
I saw a video earlier this week. A Twitter user docs_gay posted a video. I'm not sure if this is their own or what, but apparently this happened in Mexico. There was a trans person who had top surgery, was coming back home, and a lot of their male family members were lined out right next to each other, their backs turned to him. And when he comes closer, they all turn around and they put some tape under their chest area, pretty much like in a solidarity with their family member, and pretty much just brought him to tears. And I was just like, see, it's just so easy to support people. Just like, it's not hard.
This is so cute. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah. And then screw you, Ron DeSantis, because the judge in Florida has blocked the ban on life-saving healthcare for trans kids. So, because he's being a piece of shit down there. And then Thailand has legalized marriage for all Thais, regardless of sexuality and gender.
Woo!
Yay!
Wait, Where's my flags? Woo!
Maryland Governor Wes Moore signs order protecting trans healthcare because, quote, you deserve to live safely. So good job, Maryland.
Woohoo! My sibling lives in Maryland. I'm sure they're happy about that.
So Tyler James Williams, earlier this week, apparently he gets pegged a lot for being a gay man, which he has come out and said, no, he's not, but then also put out a statement to uplift the queer community with how this approach is not helpful to people who are actually part of the community. So he put on his Instagram, quote, usually I want to address stuff like this, but I feel like it as a conversation is bigger than me. I'm not gay, but I think the culture trying to, quote, find, end quote, some kind of hidden trait or behavior that a closeted person, quote, let slip, unquote, is very dangerous. Overanalyzing someone's behavior in an attempt to, quote, catch them directly contributes to the anxiety of a lot of queer and queer questioning people feel when they fear living in their truth. It makes the most pedestrian of conversations and interactions and spaces feel less safe for our gay brothers and sisters and those who may be questioning. It also reinforces an archetype many straight men have to live under that is oftentimes unrealistic, less free, and limits individual expression. I've been very clear about my intentionality I try to put into using my platform to push back against these archetypes every chance that I get. Being straight doesn't look one way, being gay doesn't look one way, and what may seem like a harmless fun and conversation may actually be sending a dangerous message to those struggling with real issues. I refuse to inadvertently contribute to that message. Happy Pride to all of my queer and questioning brothers, sisters, and individuals. I pray that you feel seen in ways that make you feel safe in the celebration that is this month. As an ally, I continue to be committed to assisting in that where I can and helping to cultivate a future we are all accepted and given permission to be ourselves.
I love it. I feel like I was given a warm hug reading that.
That's how you do it.
That's how, yeah, allies.
That is how it's done.
This brings up an important conversation because, okay, first of all, I mentioned to you off air that I finally watched Heartstopper, and I literally watched the whole season last night, and it is adorable. It's a little cliche, but the cinematography is actually really good, and the story is also it's super cute. There was this incident that happened with one of the actors from that show where a lot of people online kept asking him if he was gay, and in the end they basically forced him to come out before he was ready to. And I know like people are more comfortable coming out and being queer and stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone is. And so I think I know people are impatient for progress because we all want to live in a safe and healthy environment, but people also need to remember that not everyone is living in those spaces you are, and they may not feel comfortable coming out for whatever reason. Could be for their work, it could be whatever's going on at home. You just don't know, and it's never okay to force people to come out before they're ready to. Or like even with Will Tyler James, like people assuming he's gay and badgering him with questions, and it's like if he wanted you to know, he would tell you. Like, calm down, people.
Any of our viewers are Doctor Who fans. I'm a Doctor Who fan. And
Same
David
Z.
Tennant, 10th Doctor, was on a show recently, I believe, called
Reasons
to be Cheerful. And I have it here where I'm going to play it.
Do you know what's making me cheerful at the moment? Is that it's Pride Month. And the fact that Pride Month is existing and is flourishing and is something that's happening at a time when the world seems to be getting, in some corners, worryingly intolerant and weirdly backward. And that when I was at school, calling somebody gay was like the worst thing you could be called in the playground. And now we celebrate it. And it makes me a little bit emotional. But that just gives people a chance to be seen and celebrated. You want your children to grow up in a world that is kind, and you want your children to be kind, and you want your children to be accepted for whoever they are. Whatever they want to be, they should be allowed to be whoever they want to be. And that, you know, everyone else just needs to butt out. We can't take our foot off the gas, that's the thing, and we can't expect that we will always travel in the right direction towards acceptance. We've all got to be fighting that fight every day.
Allies. When they know how to do it, they know how to do it, you know?
David Tennant does have a non-binary kid, but that is not the only reason why you should speak out and uplift queer people.
Just because you know them. I'm not homophobic. My son is non-binary. Or wait, kid. That doesn't make sense. My child is non-binary. Yeah. Yeah, we can go into a deeper conversation there, but I won't. Next topic.
And then Chuchi Gatwa, who is the upcoming doctor for the next series. So there was a Twitter user, SLineHan1, who was apparently tweeting about Doctor Who and got a really terrible DM. Someone's basically laughing. I'm not even going to give that DM any attention, but I will say this person's response was, they said, "This is what I get for saying that I want Chuchi's doctor and Jonathan's character to be romantic, in a jokey way. It's so scary that bigots are still in the hashtag Doctor Who fandom. Now I hope they do make Chuchi's era the gayest Doctor Who era ever, just to see idiots like this cry." I also need to point out that the person who rebooted this series is gay. You wouldn't have New Who without this gay person. Or at least not at the time when it came out, I think in 2006, 8, I can't remember now. But it was like dormant for a while. Like the last time that they did it was, I think, in like the late 80s, and they had like a movie, and then it was nothing for like the longest time. And so gay person decides, I'm gonna write I'm gonna reboot this show. And the whole premise behind Doctor Who is exploration and like saving Earth and just, you know, like not harming people. Like, I just don't see where in there, like, homophobia is gonna live. So people who get mad that people are wanting characters to get together with each other, like, I just don't see how
there's nothing wrong with it.
How are you a fan of a show that like celebrates this? And it's not even like, okay, this is gonna, I'm not sure if he's actually going to be gay in the show, but please. But I think the Doctor has always been like inclusive.
Always.
I think him as an alien, it's like homophobia doesn't live in his or hers or their existence. But
wait,
yeah,
does this mean that the Doctor's officially non-binary because there's been a female gender fluid maybe?
So after this happened, Gatwa contacted this user over Instagram with a heartfelt message, making it clear that his Time Lord is here to support LGBTQ plus Doctor Who fandom. And he said, quote, "I'm sorry you received such a horrible message from that awful guy."
Listen, one thing I've learned since becoming more involved with the community is that we are very supportive with each other. When you are actually a part of the community and not one of those what do they call the LGB without the T? I hate those. Anyways, when you are actually a part of this community, we are all accepting of each other. We all support each other and lift each other up when we are down, and that's what Pride is about. Love and acceptance. Just putting out that positive message out there.
And even more excited for the Doctor Who series.
Yes. Oh my god, I have to catch up. I stopped watching after the 11th Doctor.
I really enjoyed the 12th Doctor in a couple of episodes in his first one. I just think that they had a hard time figuring out what they wanted to do with him. I think he was in 3 series, so by like the third one you're like, oh no, he's leaving now, you finally figured it out. You finally know what you want to do with him. And I knew about Peter Capaldi before he played the Doctor, so I was very excited. And apparently he's a huge fan, and apparently like when he was a kid he like sent a letter to like the BBC being like, oh, Doctor Who, blah 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 blah, you know. It was like, yeah, so cool for him to live out his dream. And then in other fandom, Star Trek Discovery received the Outspoken Award on behalf of the queer cast and crew of the show. And Wilson Cruz, who plays one of my favorite characters, he was, when they were up there receiving the award, he said, quote, "On Discovery, we are the heroes of our own stories. No one saves us. We save our own lives, and in so doing, we hope to inspire you to do the same. Let's take action together today for better LGBTIQ lives tomorrow."
Round of applause.
Romania, breaching LGBTQ plus couples, human rights. Romanian same-sex couples.
When they were denied marriage, but they won the legal fight.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a little confusing.
I was like, wait.
The couple's denied. Wait, why are we celebrating this? Oh, okay. So because we're talking about stuff going around the world, I watched something called Pride from Above. It's on Disney Plus, and I was just curious about what it was. And it basically just goes around different countries around the world and how they celebrate Pride in you know, all these different like big cities. You know, they have like a Mardi Gras celebration in Australia. They do the lighting of the Niagara Falls, you know, the rainbow colors in Canada. You know, San Francisco always has. I don't even know if they mention San Francisco, but we know how San Francisco works. They mention New York because that's where it started. Apparently, New Zealand. Okay, so in June, because it's winter down there, they do this. They ski down like this mountain, and everyone's wearing colors, and they have their flags. They have like these smoke thingies that have all the different rainbow colors, and they're all like skiing down this slope, and it's super cute. But I also learned that they do like, I don't know if they said 10 total or 10 other events throughout the year, and that New Zealand is probably the best, most safest country to be queer. So let's move.
So I guess I'm meeting you there when your boat arrives.
Yes, because I can't fly.
I hope you don't get seasick.
I've only been on a ship once, and I was okay.
I don't get seasick on ships, but there was a boat that I took I went to Thailand for like a week, and me and my friends were going to go on like a smaller island and for like a couple of days, and we had to take like a like a boat or something, and we were sitting on, just along the side, and my friend was sitting next to me, and she was talking to me, and I was looking out, and I said, I'm not ignoring you, I'm just trying not to hurl.
Wait, so like like a little speedboat type thing?
Because it was just doing like it, it's not like a ship where it's got the mechanics to keep steady. Like this was just like,
Yeah.
I guess I'm not going out fishing on a big boat because I'm
Yeah.
gonna hurl.
No. If we go based on that, then no, I've never been seasick because I've been on little boats before and I'm fine. So I'll be okay. I'll just meet you there in a couple months.
Okay. And Taiwan has passed groundbreaking legislation to grant same-sex couples full adoption rights in a massive win for equality.
I love it. Woo! Okay, so we're like around the world, Pride is doing really well. And I love it for everyone else. Here in the States, we could use a little bit of work.
And a final shout out for this one of 3 episodes we've got this month for queer related content is Elliot Page has published his memoir, and I read the first 2 chapters that are free. If you just Google the book, you can read the first 2 chapters, and it is crazy, but not surprising that nobody from Nova Scotia to his rise after Juno was such a hit, and just aspects in those first 2 chapters where he talked about his childhood and just his like battle with like gender. It's like a lot of parallels, even as somebody as myself who's non-binary. It's just the way that society kind of shapes your insecurities. And it's a bit sad that like some of the movies that I really enjoy, like you get to see these backstage experiences where it's like, oh, it wasn't really a happy time for him. So it's kind of sad to, like the balance of like being happy that you're apparently reaching your dream, but then also you're having to put your most authentic self into the closet. And but I think it's going to be a really good book, and his book tour that he's got going on right now, just like from looking at the folks who are the moderators, a lot of queer folks, just looks like a really great book tour. So go out there and get that book or reserve it at your library. And that's pretty much all I have.
Me too.
So next week we're going to have another queer-centric episode. We're going to bring on a couple of our buddies. We're just going to have a big old gay time. And then at the end of the month, we have a special guest. So that's what we've got going on for the next couple of weeks. So that's just about it for this episode.
Yeah. I love talking
Happy
about queer
Pride,
things.
everybody.
Makes me happy. Happy Pride, y'all.
All right. And as always, I am your host, Jay.
And I'm Nessa. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.